Okay, today is Thursday, the 25th of February, and our title for today is The Sons and Daughters of Liberty. This is section 2 of E Pluribus Unum, and hopefully I'm on an airplane headed my way back to you. So get everything ready to go. We're going to talk about how the Sons and Daughters of Liberty contributed to us going from many to one. Okay, all right, so we know that organizations formed. What we didn't really talk about when I talked to you about the preview of the chapter was that some of these organizations were secret organizations, and as you can imagine, they had to be secret because everything that the colonists were doing were being watched by the British officials. So in terms of anything that might cause revolution, remember that they were willing, as they showed in the Boston Massacre, to fight. So one of the things that became clear to the people, to the patriots, was that liberty wouldn't come by casual talk. They had to do something. So organizations whose purpose would passionately put shared ideas into action formed in order to end British tyranny. The people who were parts of who joined these organizations committed themselves to what needed to be done, even if what needed to be done was outside of the law. Remember, I told you in the preview that the Sons of Liberty were willing to be violent if they needed to. And we know that there was tarring and feathering, but we're going to talk more about that. We know that there was violence done, and we know there was vandalism done. That was the word I was looking for. So as ushistory.org notes, there were American patriots. They were American patriots, Northern and Southern, young and old, male and female. They were the sons and daughters of liberty. So let's talk about the Sons of Liberty first. Like I said before, if you have a revolutionary figure who's a member of the Sons of Liberty, make sure you're looking up the websites that are historical and not the stuff that is out there today about taxation without representation. All right, that being said, the Sons of Liberty were a secret organization. They had codes, rituals, secret passwords. They dedicated themselves to showing the British that the Stamp Act, when they first started, was not fair. These are the things they were known to do. They were known to harass the tax collectors by printing their names, following them around, saying things to them. They were known to vandalize the homes of British officials, including Governor Hutchinson's. They actually went in and burned it. They were known to create dummies of British officials to hang or burn in effigy. If you don't know what effigy means, look it up. On the Liberty Tree. The Liberty Tree was in Boston. They were known to tar and feather. Tar and feathering you could kill you, so look that up. They were known to tar and feather tax collectors and loyalists who broke boycotts. Okay. They shared correspondence about their activities to coordinate their efforts. They participated in the Boston Tea Party. Many were the men who would also act publicly as delegates to the Stamp Act Congress, the First Continental Congress, and the Second Continental Congress. So many of them are people that we admire today. I know I said that they participated in the Boston Tea Party, we've already had that. So why are we talking about that now? What we're talking about is the fact that all of these things that are happening are coming together to create a common bond. And by creating that common bond, we will see them become one. So let's look at the Daughters of Liberty. Okay, let's start that over again. You may not know, I got a phone call while I was doing this one. All right, I said let's talk about the Daughters of Liberty. I forgot that I had put the picture here of the Sons of Liberty tarring and feathering a tax collector. And that means taking tar, and it's warm, spreading it on you and then sticking feathers all over you to make you look kind of like a huge chicken or a goose. And it's to make fun of you, but it was actually quite dangerous, so you should look that up. That was one form of outside of the law activity the Sons of Liberty were willing to do to make sure everybody understood they did not like this taxation without representation. Now let's look at the Daughters of Liberty. The Daughters of Liberty formed as well, obviously. These were the women who were patriots who dedicated themselves to the boycotts. If they were not supposed to buy sugar, they weren't buying it. If they were not supposed to buy cloth, They were not buying it. If they weren't supposed to be buying tea, they were not buying it. But they had to find substitutes. Well, one of the things that they did, and they did quite successfully, which also leads to the formation of unity, that feeling of spirit and sisterhood, is they created spinning societies. And these were groups that met and made cloth rather than to buy British textiles. Textile is an important word to know. It means cloth. Anytime you see textiles, it has to do with creating cloth, clothing, anything that requires thread, basically. So they also did things like creating and sharing recipes that didn't require anything produced in Britain. That's the reference to April Morning, where they would make their food with cornmeal, their bread with cornmeal, rather than, which was produced in the colony, rather than wheat spelt, which they had to buy from Britain. All right, so that's rather than flour, wheat flour, basically. That's one of the things they did. They were dedicated to making sure that they showed their spirit through boycotting. They also, and this is really kind of interesting, any man who showed up on their door who wanted to date them, if they were dateable, if he was a loyalist, they weren't going to date him. And those who did have daughters only allowed their daughters to see and marry patriots. That's kind of really dedicated, shall we say. All right, so let's look at a picture of them. Okay, this slide ends the presentation, and it's a picture of a patriot woman, a daughter of liberty, making cloth at home. You can see her spinning wheel, and she's showing her little daughter how to do it too. This, at that time, was what women could do. Now, you'll see with some of the other things we're going to do later that there were a couple women who actually joined the military as men, dressed up as men, and went and fought, but we'll see those when we look at the Revolutionary War battles. Okie dokie, you know what to do. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Take care.